Tell me about yourself. This is the question that so many people dread, but this is the question that is so important in an interview. If you nail this right, you make a lasting first impression on the interviewer, and you have a lot of chances to be retained as a top winning candidate. If you do it wrong, you are sure it's very difficult to catch up with that mistake. So this is what we're going to talk about today. How do you answer that question? Tell me about yourself. And this is specifically for people who have experience, because there's two different ways to reply to this question. When I was a young graduate, the way I used to reply to this wasn't the same way as what I will do right now. So this video is for people who have some experience. Sometimes people want to change industries. Maybe you have a crisis in your industry, and if you want to change that industry, you will have to present yourself in a sharp way, in a convincing way. And if you are a young graduate, I will make another video for you, because there's another way to actually present yourself so that you show that you are capable of, even if you don't have the experience. So tell me about yourself. If you have experience, this is for you. But my name is Arthur first, and this channel is for ambitious professionals who want to stand out in their careers and to create the best life and making the money out of this. So if you are this ambitious professional and you want to stand out, you want to create the maximized career that you can, then you can check this video. And also you can check this channel. Just hit that clock, right? And also you can like this channel and also share with people who have the same mindset as you, people who believe that having a career where they're fulfilled, a career where they feel passionate, a career where they make the most out of it is the best way to live their lives. We'll come back to it, how to answer that critical question. Tell me about yourself. And I jot down some notes because it's not a typical question in the interview. You have to answer it like this is the blood of the interview, because it is. And so before we get into the tips that you will use to answer this question, I want you first to understand those principles, right? The first principle that I want you to understand is what the interviewer is asking is not your personal story. You don't even need to say where you were born or where you're from. You don't need to do that. They are asking for your professional story. And yes, your work, your experience is a story. The different experiences that you had, it becomes a story. And that's what they're asking you, a professional story. So that's the first thing. So eliminate all the answers where you talk about, your personal choices in life. You talk about where you grew up. You talk about your parents. Forget about that. That's the first principle that you have to understand when you want to answer this question. The second principle that you have to understand is, as I said, it's a story. So you have to tell a story. You have to tell a story that is engaging. You have to tell a story that is compelling, a story that is clear enough, and a story that is complete. You have to make the other person like your story. And imagine that you are telling that story to a good friend of yours. Imagine you are telling that story to your partner, someone that you want to win. This is how you need to get into that answer. The other principle I wanted to share with you is, it's so important to understand that in front of you, you have someone who wants to be entertained. They want to be entertained. They want to learn from you. So when you're telling that story, it's important that you choose facts, you choose results, you choose the important points that make your story interesting. Sometimes you have a lot of things that you can talk about, but you need to stick to those important points. And then let's come back to the final perspective on this. Is it shouldn't be more than 3 minutes long. Tell me about yourself. You shouldn't take more than 3 minutes long, because the interviewer is not there to listen to you doing a monologue. So 3 minutes listening to you, it's also a pretty good time. If that interviewer is really interested in what you're saying and he sticks to it for 3 minutes, he's a good interviewer, because listen to someone for 3 minutes. What the person is saying needs to be interesting. What the person is saying needs to be very compelling. So not more than 3 minutes, so that the interviewer can bounce from the answer to ask you different other questions. And now, the final perspective that I want to share with you now is you have to make sure that you kind of like direct the interviewer where you want to go. What do I mean by that is when you tell your story, you need to put in the facts that you want your interviewer to ask question about. Let's say you worked maybe abroad, right? And you work, like you have an international career. You have to put in those facts, because you want the interviewer to ask you, how was it to work with, let's say, British people? How was it to work with US people? How did you handle this situation or this situation where you have a different culture you're working with? All those type of facts that you will chip in your story, that will be like a hook to get the interviewer to ask you the question that you want them to ask you about. So those are the 5 perspectives, the 5 principles that you have to have in mind when you prepare for that answer. Now, how do you answer this question? So the first tip that I want to share with you is your stories need to include achievements. I hear so many people, they talk about the experience. Yes, I did A, then I did B, then I did C, then I was working with this colleague and this colleague and this colleague. Yes, you're describing the experience, but what is most important is you want to describe your achievements. The interviewer needs to understand that it wasn't about the tasks. It was about, performing. It was about performance. It was about achieving something. So you have to tell a story that is achievement oriented. It's so important, because you are not working just to work. People don't hire you just to work. They hire you because they want you to achieve certain objectives. They want you to perform for them. They want you to bring value. So you need to put in your story the ways you achieved, the ways you bring in value. This is so important. That's the first tip, right? The second tip is it needs to be a snapshot of your work history. So maybe you will chip in the company name, you will chip in the title, you will chip in what you did, like quickly, right? And you will chip in, as I said, the major responsibilities and achievements. But you have to take all your experiences, and for one experience, you quickly give those little details quickly. You shouldn't give a long story. It's just like, I worked for this company between this time and this time, and I did this and I achieved this. Period. You already have a resume that give all the information. It's just to give the story, it's just to tell the story that you're going to say that. And also, when you tell that story, you need to batch your experiences. So you have experience, right? Maybe you have 10 years, 15 years of experience. What is really important then is you have to batch your experience. For example, myself, I had worked in 3 different countries and 3 different roles. So the way I was starting this was so I can summarize my work experience in 3 different sections. The first section is I worked in Paris as a project engineer. The second section, and then I worked in the UK as a drilling and project manager, and the last session is I worked in Angola and in Africa in this, doing this, then I worked and doing this. So you batch experiences so that it's more compelling, it's more precise, it's easier to follow for the interviewer. If you have 10 different experiences, you won't just enumerate them one after the other and one after the other. You have to batch them so that it's more interesting to listen to, right? So that's the second tip. The third tip, and I wrote it down, is after you've done that, you need to tell the employer what you understand about the role. You have to show that you did your research. You have to show that you know what you're talking about. You understand the requirements, you understand the expectations, you understand them, you understand the stakes, you understand the objectives. So you have to say what you think and what you know this role is requiring. That's really important so that the interviewer understand that you're not just there to go for a role, but you are really there to achieve certain objectives that are bound to that role that you're looking for. So important, right? The tip number 4 is you have till the end to chip in your answer, to put in there exactly telling the employer why you are the right fit. It's so important. Some people, they do the presentation, like they tell them about the experiences and stuff like that, but they never tell the employer, they never tell the interviewer why they believe they are the right fit straight away. You are selling yourself, and so you have to be willing to tell the interviewer why you feel you are the strong candidate. It shows confidence. It shows that you understand what they're looking for. It's so important to give it straight away if they give you the chances, because you can decide the way you will present it in that answer. And now the final tip is even the most important tip, and it is you have to tell your beliefs and your principles. So many people go about life, so many people, they work, but they don't have principles. Let's say it's an accounting role. I know some people, they believe that accounting is so important because a company cannot afford to just not controlling their finances. And so the belief about accounting is they are the last controller of the finances of a business. And if they're not there, the business will never strive. This is a belief. But when you share that to an interviewer, it's so much more powerful than just saying that I know how to do accounting, I have this experience, and I know why I'm the right fit. Talking about belief. You're talking about emotions. You're talking about why you believe that this job is so important for the company. And this is so powerful. So don't forget to look at what do you believe about this role? What do you believe about this company? What do you believe about the people? What do you believe about your contribution to any company and to that company in particular? You have to talk about what you believe. You have to talk about what you think makes the difference with your work. You have to talk about the way you approach your work. Probably it's going to be like, I believe in attention to details because attention to details are keys in accounting. Or I believe in always growing and developing myself because this is how you do continuous improvement. Maybe it's an engineering role. So you see, some beliefs are very important. There are some underlying beliefs in any type of job, and if you strike that chord into the interviewer's mind, if you strike that emotions into the interviewer's mind by talking about your beliefs, talking about what you are truly certain of, this will be a game changer. So that's it for me. I hope it helped you. I didn't go in detail in what you have to say, This is a principle answer, as I told you. Those are the principles that you need to use to answer that question. But it's so important to prepare for that question and to go through these different principles and these different tips that I shared with you. And if you need help in any way, maybe you have that job interview that is coming, or the dream job that is coming, or you are looking into creating the best career that you can. You want to succeed, to stand out as a professional, then you can book a call with me. There's a link below this video. Book a call with me and I'm sure I can help you. But till then, I talk to you later. Bye-bye.